In the dark forest, Ren, a seemingly fragile boy, stands alone facing a pack of giant, ferocious wolves. His eyes are cast down, his body is covered in blood, and one hand is clenched tightly until it turns red. In the distance, a girl has witnessed everything, her eyes filled with fear and doubt. In a life-or-death moment, Ren's monologue echoes, "I have a secret that can change everything." As the pack of wolves charges, Ren's eyes blaze with intensity, and his hand draws a mysterious energy swirl in the air. Blood stains his face, but he shows no fear. Instead, he's filled with determination. That's a secret that I can't tell anyone. Behind Ren, a girl has also entered the battle. Clearly, she knows something about Ren's true strength. And in that moment, the secret that Ren has been hiding begins to awaken. After the fierce battle, the scene shifts to a peaceful atmosphere. Ren sits against a tree trunk, gazing out at the distant fields and village. He smiles faintly, feeling the gentle breeze rustle his hair, and his eyes sparkle with the bright blue sky. So peaceful, Ren thinks to himself. He stretches and lies down against the tree, relaxing in a rare moment free from worry. But this peace is likely only temporary, like the calm before a larger storm. Ren lies relaxed under the shade of a tree, his mind calm in the stillness of the afternoon. But suddenly, something catches his attention. His eyes widen, and his expression changes from indifference to surprise. He raises his head, his gaze fixed on something outside the frame, an anomaly in this otherwise serene scene. The boy Ren begins to recall his past life, as a grown man, living a monotonous loop in the city. He was once an office worker, bowing to his superiors, crowded on the subway, eating discounted boxed lunches with fatigue. Every day was the same, waking up, working, exhaustion, and then falling asleep on the train. This memory, like a forgotten part, now floods back, hinting that he may not be an ordinary boy. Perhaps this is the secret Ren has been hiding. Ren lies resting under the tree, feeling a peace that's far removed from his previous stressful life, where he was a melancholic office worker, living a dull life on the train and at the office. Compared to his past, his current life feels like a dream. As he becomes lost in thought, a voice calls out his name, shattering the quiet moment. A lively boy appears, enthusiastically inviting Ren to Chano's house to play. However, Ren declines, citing household chores, when in reality, he just wants to relax for a day. His friend quickly notices the lie and teases Ren, making him embarrassed and react with irritation. The atmosphere between the two is both familiar and humorous. Ren's energetic friend drags him to his house to ask permission to take Ren out to play. Ren's mother is initially skeptical and unhappy, but eventually relents with a forced smile. Ren is dragged along, resigned, hoping to have a day to rest, while his friend excitedly tells everyone that he successfully brought Ren along. As soon as they arrive, Ren is suddenly enveloped in a tight hug by Tetra, her face beaming with joy, as she calls out his name with excitement. Caught off guard, Ren can only exclaim Tetra's name in surprise. The accompanying friend smiles nonchalantly, as if accustomed to this scene. Ren is completely buried in Tetra's round arms, helplessly enduring the hug, while his friend looks on with a resigned expression, as if this is just another everyday occurrence. Tetra is overjoyed to the point of having a runny nose when she sees Ren again, laughing and shouting, "Ree!" because she's so cute, making Ren, despite being flustered, forgive her for the suffocating hug earlier. As Tetra continues to hug tightly, Ren gently suggests she return to her brother, while his friend teases Ren that he's still Tetra's favorite. Ren is frozen in place, as Tetra hugs him tightly, feeling a warmth in his heart when she asks, "Are you an angel?" leaving him momentarily speechless. Another girl teases Tetra about her runny nose, prompting Tetra to react irritably. Chano steps out, arms crossed, and smiles smugly as he sees everyone gathered. Ren arrives late and is scolded by a little girl, and he can only smile awkwardly and carry Tetra. Chano's house, often referred to as the children's room, is a gathering place for the village kids, those too young to do chores, much like a village daycare. Ren introduces his group of friends at Chano's house, a gathering place for the village kids. Each person has a distinct personality, just like their appearance. Anne is silly and cheerful, Ted is lively, Chano's tries to appear cool, Kenya is serious like a class leader, Turner seems always distracted, and Tetra looks like an angel but is actually quite formidable. As for himself, his real name is Relight, but everyone calls him Ren. Ren reveals his biggest secret. Despite currently being in the body of a child, he's actually a middle-aged man reborn. With a helpless and bitter expression, he admits to being an adult still living in a childhood room, surrounded by innocent children who know nothing. Ren continues to reveal his true identity, a middle-aged man reborn into a different world in the form of a child. Despite outwardly blending in and playing with the other kids, inside, he's still a man in his 30s, carrying memories of his past life and living among children as a cruel joke that only he understands. Ren tries to maintain his childlike facade to hide the truth about his identity. When his friends ask about his serious expression, Ren immediately changes his face and plays along as a child his age, joining in the fun with an innocent look. Internally, Ren reminds himself to act like a 5-year-old, continuing his acting life among the children to avoid raising suspicion. Turner gently tugged on Ren's shirt and asked him to tell a story as he usually did, which made Ren smile and affectionately call out to the little girl in his mind. Meanwhile, other kids like Anne, Charnos, and Ted excitedly called out to each other to play an adventure game, carrying toys like wooden swords. Ren looked at the group and quietly sighed to himself, resigned to continuing to blend in and play the role of a child in his new life as part of his daily routine. In the village's children's house, the kids were divided into 2 groups, those who played outside and those who stayed indoors. Ren, having to take care of Tetra, was stuck inside with a reluctant role of babysitter. He wasn't sure when he was assigned this task, but he had grown accustomed to it. Still, he couldn't relax, as Kenya suddenly asked Ren to teach her math. In response, Ren just smiled helplessly and hugged Tetra out of habit, continuing to play the role of an adult in a child's body. Turner still didn't give up on asking Ren to tell a story, this time quietly tugging on his shirt with a hopeful expression. But Ren immediately refused, citing that his clothes were being pulled askew by her. Despite this, Turner still didn't let go, pulling his shirt to the limit while Kenya nearby tried to call her back. Ren could only force a smile, helpless in his situation as a reluctant babysitter. Ren was helpless against Turner's stubbornness as she insisted on clinging to his shirt to demand a story. Meanwhile, Tetra happily sat on the stretched shirt, making it look like a hammock. Ren was both annoyed and worried, while Turner maintained a calm expression, refusing to let go. Things gradually became chaotic as Tetra climbed up and swung precariously, prompting Ren to warn her to be careful. Ren reluctantly told a Japanese fairy tale that he vaguely remembered, about saving a turtle and then riding it to the underwater palace. While the other kids played noisily outside, Tetra sat contentedly in Ren's lap, and Kenya listened intently with sparkling eyes. In contrast, Turner, who had initially demanded to hear the story, fell asleep midway, causing Ren to sigh helplessly. After finishing the storytelling session, Ren sat with tattered clothes, soothing Tetra to sleep while sighing and asking someone to help repair his shirt. Kenya happily praised the story, saying it was interesting, which made Ren involuntarily think that she was really cute and well-behaved. Seeing that both Tetra and Turner were fast asleep, Ren decided to wrap up the day. But Kenya suddenly suggested enthusiastically, "Next is math," making Ren's eyes widen in despair. As the day drew to a close, Ren dragged his tired feet out of the children's house after a long day of being busy. He breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that he was finally free. However, when he looked up at the sky, Ren realized that the day had passed in the blink of an eye. Just as he was starting to relax, he suddenly felt that something was off, and his eyes began to show caution. On his way back, Ren happened to see a girl scooping water from a well, seemingly struggling to carry a heavy bucket. As she lifted it, she accidentally slipped on something on the ground and nearly fell. Ren watched from afar, sighing inwardly as he saw her narrowly escape danger, thinking that the situation was quite hazardous. When he saw the girl about to fall due to losing her balance, Ren immediately rushed over and caught her just in time, saving her from a painful fall. The girl was taken aback, calling out Ren's name, while Ren calmly asked if she was okay. Sitting down beside her, the girl thanked Ren gratefully for saving her, and Ren just smiled lightly, saying that he had coincidentally been passing by and was lucky to be there on time. The girl awkwardly explained that she hadn't noticed Ren nearby, even though he was right there. As the atmosphere became strangely silent, Ren suddenly asked a question that made her flustered. "Why aren't you wearing a shirt?" She was taken aback, hastily changing the subject and quickly standing up, saying that she needed to fetch more water to avoid answering. The girl panicked, thinking that the bucket of water had spilled, but upon looking back, the water was still intact. Ren sat down, nonchalantly explaining that he had used a special trick to save the situation. In a humorous, imaginative scenario, Ren described how he had moved extremely quickly and caught the water with his own body, resulting in him getting soaked, but the bucket remaining safe. He ended the story with an innocent expression, proudly saying that everything was fine. The girl was extremely surprised and delighted by Ren's heroic actions, praising him innocently and enthusiastically. Although slightly flustered, Ren smiled in response. She also reminded him to take care of himself and not catch a cold due to his wet clothes, before leaving with the full bucket of water. Ren watched her go, feeling a warmth in his heart, and ended the adventurous afternoon with a sigh of relief. After leaving the group of children, Ren reflected on his unconscious use of his special ability. Although he had been careful not to let anyone see, he still felt anxious and blamed himself for being careless. His eyes quietly looked at the object that had fallen to the ground, his heart filled with caution. He clenched his fist, reminding himself to always keep this secret hidden to avoid disrupting his peaceful life. Ren quietly used his ability to rotate his shoes and put them on in a supernatural manner. While observing his own hands, he reaffirmed his determination to keep his special ability a secret from the villagers. Although the action was simple, Ren understood that if discovered, his true identity, a middle-aged man reborn, could be exposed. Ren discovered a large crack and scorch marks on the ground, as if something had crashed down from the sky with tremendous force. He stopped in his tracks, silently observing the scene for a moment before continuing to walk in the darkness, his heart filled with suspicion and caution. This unusual event seemed out of the ordinary, making Ren even more doubtful about the artificial peace of the village. On his way home after a long day, Ren reminded himself to be more careful when using his special abilities. He accidentally met his father, who was working in the fields. His father asked him questions, surprised to see him half naked. Ren replied curtly with a yeah, trying to appear calm, but when his father reached out to examine him more closely, Ren involuntarily took a step back, alert. The fear of being discovered had never left his mind. On the way back, Ren was held by the hand by his father. Although he, a grown man, felt somewhat embarrassed by this intimate gesture, Ren understood that it was completely normal for a 5-year-old child. He suppressed his awkward feelings, held his father's hand, and quietly looked up at the sky, where emotions and memories silently drifted by like summer clouds. On the way home, Ren's father suddenly lifted him onto his shoulders like a real child. A mix of embarrassment and confusion filled Ren's heart, a grown man living in a child's body. When asked if he was being bullied, Ren could only shake his head in denial. He thought to himself, "Father, I'm probably older than you." But outwardly, he endured this piggyback ride like a child of his age, with a mature mind hidden inside. Ren stood gazing at the peaceful evening sky, his heart filled with satisfaction. He truly loved this quiet rural life, where the people were kind, and each day passed gently with warm meals, loving scoldings, and the laughter of children. In his heart, Ren secretly hoped that this life could last forever, undisturbed by anything. At night, Ren lay between his parents in their warm embrace, but his eyes remained wide open, full of vigilance. He vowed to keep his secret hidden at all costs. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, a creature with glowing eyes and a beast-like body moved stealthily, as if signaling that troubles were approaching, disrupting the peace that Ren longed to preserve. Under the cold light of the full moon, the eerie howl of a wolf echoed from the mountaintop, like a harbinger of impending danger. Meanwhile, Ren slept soundly between his parents, innocently sprawling across the blanket, causing his mother to lie awake. Two worlds, one of peace and warmth, the other of lurking danger, existed in parallel, waiting to collide. The story takes a new turn with a serene forest landscape. A group of people are gathering herbs and mushrooms, preparing to leave the area after a successful harvest. They behave cautiously and are well organized, indicating that this is a daily and important activity for their livelihood. A large bag full of mushrooms is tied up, signaling the end of an efficient day's work in the forest. The atmosphere seems peaceful, but something is looming on the horizon. As the group is about to leave the forest after their gathering, a young boy suddenly stops and stares deep into the woods. His alert gaze catches the adults' attention, and they ask if something is wrong. However, he replies, "Nothing's wrong," but his expression reveals a sense of unease. The atmosphere is shifting from peaceful to tense, as if something unusual is hiding in the quiet forest. Just as the group is about to leave the forest, a giant wolf suddenly emerges from the bushes, growling menacingly. The terrifying sound causes the forest birds to fly away in all directions. Two young boys are caught off guard, panic-stricken and unable to react. The sudden danger shatters the previously peaceful atmosphere. A fierce attack is about to unfold. Ren is sitting alone under a tree, quietly gazing at the clear blue sky and watching the birds fly. Suddenly, he is startled when someone calls his name from afar. In a flash, Ren becomes flustered and hides behind the tree trunk. His worried expression suggests that he is hiding something and doesn't want to be discovered. The peaceful atmosphere is on the verge of being disrupted. Ren is being chased by Ted and forced to flee. In his panic, he hides behind a tree and observes the situation. Ted calls out his name loudly, determined to find him. Ren thinks to himself that he's playing a game of hide-and-seek, but in reality, he's trying to escape Ted's pursuit. The young boy tries to remain silent to avoid being detected. The tense atmosphere is mixed with a hint of excitement and the playfulness of a children's game. Ren is hiding behind a tree when he suddenly sees a group of village children arrive. He mutters to himself, "Children are so strange," as he watches the group gather. A group of kids, led by Ted, decides to split up to search for him. Ren's involuntary chase has turned into a lively game of hide-and-seek, where the first one to find him wins. The atmosphere becomes more energetic, while Ren is caught between laughter and tears, being pulled into the game. Ren is hiding behind a tree, worried that he'll be discovered by the children sooner or later. He knows that if he's caught, he'll be dragged to Mr. Chano's hut, a place called a fun-gathering spot, but is actually just an old man. Ren fears this scenario, and is determined not to be caught. While the other kids see it as a fun game, Ren views it as a nightmare. He breaks into a sweat, clenches his fists, and tells himself to find a way to escape before it's too late. Ren quickly runs towards the edge of the village, surrounded by a wooden fence. He examines the wall's structure, large logs driven deep into the ground. Although it's a simple structure, it's enough to protect the small village from external threats. Ren seems to be calculating something, his gaze directed upwards, as if searching for a way to escape or hide. Ren stands still, looking at the tall wooden wall surrounding the village. The wall is not only to keep out wild animals, but also to prevent children from entering the deep forest. Outside the wall, the dense forest stretches out, with no houses nearby. However, there's one exception, the person he's thinking of. Ren's gaze is contemplative, as if he's preparing for a daring decision related to the isolated area. Ren remembers Old Man Double, the only person living near the village wall, separate from the villagers. He's chopping wood in front of his log cabin, his expression serious, exuding calmness and experience. The decisive swing of his axe seems to signal that something more serious is approaching. Old Man Double is not just a charcoal burner in the village, he's also considered a trustworthy, wise man. Although he lives apart, he's the only one in a special category among the villagers. What makes him special isn't his job, but the unusual abilities he possesses, something not yet revealed, but clearly commanding respect and caution. In this world, magic exists, but becoming a wizard is extremely challenging. Although few people can master magic, Old Man Double is a rare exception. In this village, he's the only one who has achieved that level, making him not just a charcoal burner, but a true wizard, a rare figure in everyday life. The path to becoming a wizard is arduous, divided into several stages. First, innate talent, with only 1 in 10 people possessing it. Next, the speed of absorption, with only 1 in 10 talented individuals able to learn quickly. Finally, the level of skill, where only 1 in 10 quick learners can achieve true ability. That means only 1 in 1,000 people can become a wizard, like Old Man Double, who has rarely achieved this level. Magic in this world is divided into basic attributes: water, fire, earth, and wind. There are also special forms of magic, such as magical gemstones, and many other types not yet listed. Old Man Double, who can grasp and use these elements flexibly, is a rare example of exceptional ability, but there's still more to his story. Old Man Double is a rare fire mage, one of the few people in 1,000 who can use magic. Although he lives a secluded life in a remote village, he's respected as a wise sage due to his knowledge and superior abilities. When a knock at the door is heard, his expression becomes serious, signaling that something is about to happen. Ren hesitantly appears at Old Man Double's doorstep and greets him. When he catches the aroma wafting from inside, his growling stomach causes him to inadvertently praise the food. Old Man Double, although serious, is perceptive, looks at Ren for a moment before inviting him in to eat. A small turning point is unfolding between the two. Ren couldn't resist the invitation to eat, especially when the aroma of the stew was so enticing. He wondered if his feelings were visible on his face. As he savored the food, Ren recalled that many children were afraid of Old Man Double because of his stern appearance, especially little Anne. However, despite being curt and taciturn, Old Man Double was actually a kind person. Ren came here not only because he was hungry, but also to avoid being dragged into playing with his friends, and he felt that this was the right decision. Ren was completely surprised by the unusual vegetables cooked by Old Man Double. The flavor was so delicious that he couldn't stop praising it. Although he wasn't averse to vegetables in his previous life, the vegetables in this world had a uniquely delicious taste. He even thought, "This must be magic." Ren ate happily, while Old Man Double watched silently, his hand clenched as if moved by the praise. As Ren was enjoying his meal, Turner suddenly appeared from behind, startling him and almost making him drop his bowl. Turner said he had found Ren, and Ren exclaimed in surprise, "Turner!" Although he had been discovered, Ren remained calm and sat back down, facing his friend. He knew he couldn't hide forever. Ren was surprised to see that Turner wasn't afraid of Old Man Double like the other children. He was even more shocked when Turner approached him with a wooden stick in hand, his face expressionless. Ren thought he was about to be hit and broke out in a cold sweat. However, Turner simply handed the stick to Ren and said he would give it to him. Despite Ren's repeated refusals, Turner insisted on giving it to him. Although they were playing hide-and-seek, Ren and Turner ended up sitting down to eat with Old Man Double. Turner completely forgot about the game, focusing solely on the delicious food. Ren was puzzled, but couldn't help laughing as he watched Turner devour his fourth bowl. Old Man Double, despite his stern demeanor, smiled when Turner asked for more. The three of them were enveloped in a peaceful and joyful atmosphere. Although the pot of soup was empty, Turner still wasn't full, making Ren think that even Old Man Double must be shocked, although his stern face didn't reveal much emotion. As the three of them rested, a chubby person suddenly ran towards them from a distance, catching Old Man Double's attention. Both Ren and Turner became cautious in response to this unexpected situation. A plump man ran towards them in a panic, gasping for breath as he tried to say something. Ren and Turner watched with curiosity, while Old Man Double immediately stood up, his eyes serious and ready for action. The atmosphere became tense, signaling that something unusual was about to happen. Old Man Double sternly ordered the children to return home immediately, a rare action from him. Ren and Turner sensed the gravity of the situation and responded in unison. As they turned to leave, Ren couldn't help but wonder, has something happened in the village? His eyes were contemplative, sensing that the peaceful days were about to be disrupted. Ren and the other children in the village were gathered at a place called the Chano's house. He was surprised to be brought here. The atmosphere was bustling as all the children in the village congregated. Ren noticed many unfamiliar faces and thought that the age gap made it difficult for the children to interact with each other. Nevertheless, it seemed that something serious was happening, prompting the village to gather all the children in one place. Ren was discovered by his friends, who asked him where he had been hiding, but he kept it a secret. As the children chatted and joked, they began to speculate about the adults' emergency meeting. Ren suspected that it was related to the previous incident. Meanwhile, the children were temporarily isolated in the house, as if to keep them safe or prevent them from coming into contact with something serious happening outside. The atmosphere was both curious and tense. As the children waited in the house, Ren suggested to Turner that they come up with a plan. When asked for his opinion, Turner simply complained about being hungry, a response typical of him. Ren decided to sneak out and eavesdrop on the adults' conversation to gather information. However, before he could do so, another girl, who seemed very serious, rushed over and stopped him, emphasizing that they were told to stay put. The atmosphere became more agitated, but also revealed divisions in how to face this mysterious situation. A girl became angry when the two boys decided to sneak out and listen to the adults' meeting, defying the orders to stay put. The two boys still went ahead, despite her protests, leaving the other children in a state of confusion, especially Kenya, who was dragged along. Ren watched from afar, feeling curious but also sorry for Kenya. The atmosphere became increasingly chaotic as the children began to lose control and act on their own. The children gathered in the wooden house, worried by the news that wolf monsters had appeared in the forest, not just one, but multiple creatures. The atmosphere became tense as many children, who had never heard of such monsters outside of fairy tales, began to panic. Ren and Turner sat together, comforting a little girl, while the children around them whispered to each other, wondering if the rumors were true. What was once a game of hide-and-seek had turned into real anxiety. As the group of children were still reeling from the news about the monsters, Chano suddenly stepped forward, declaring sternly, "We will defeat them." His statement left everyone stunned. Ren and the other children were completely baffled by Chano's words. The atmosphere was both tense and bewildered, as everyone wondered if he was joking or if he actually had a bold plan. Chano's continued to deliver a passionate speech, arguing that the adults were too slow in hiring adventurers from the town. He called on the children to take proactive action before they were attacked. However, not everyone agreed. Anne and Ted looked disinterested, and many other children were either bewildered or hesitant. Nevertheless, Chano's tried to rally Enoch and Massey, who had experience with hunting. Emotions within the group began to divide. Despite Chano's enthusiastic call to action, most of the children remained skeptical about the feasibility of his plan. Ren and many others believed that if the adults had to hold an emergency meeting, the danger was certainly not as simple as a rabbit or a bird. The two older boys were also unconvinced by Chano's plan. Meanwhile, Anne firmly opposed it, making Chanos feel disappointed. The atmosphere within the group became increasingly tense and divided. Chanos' reckless plan completely shattered Anne. She burst into tears and loudly protested, repeatedly saying no in an emotional outburst. Although Chanos tried to maintain a calm demeanor, his hurt was evident as he saw Anne in distress. The atmosphere among the children became somber, highlighting the helplessness and disagreement in this perilous situation. Faced with the danger, Ren realized this was not a matter to be taken lightly. He empathized with Kenya's fear. However, the children quickly reassured each other that Old Man Double, the one with magical abilities, was still there. They trusted that if anything happened, Old Man Double would step in to resolve the issue with his power, giving them some peace of mind. After the group put their trust in Old Man Double and began to calm down, Ren still looked contemplative. He quietly observed Chanos, the one who always seemed strong and advocated for action. In Ren's mind, doubts began to arise. Did Chanos truly understand the gravity of the situation, or was he just being impulsive and boastful? A boy with a serious gaze, wearing a cloak and holding a wooden sword, stands firmly on the dirt path. His posture is full of determination and vigilance, signaling a transition from a peaceful life to a journey of training or facing imminent danger. No longer an innocent child, he has begun to take on the demeanor of a protector. The group of children in the village gather together with worried and uncertain expressions as they face a new task. A boy named Chanos, seemingly the leader, holds a wooden sword, maintaining a calm demeanor but sighing in exasperation when his companions ask, "Do we really have to do this alone?" The atmosphere is both thrilling and doubtful, indicating that the upcoming journey will not be simple, but also presents an opportunity for the group to mature through challenges. Chanos performs decisive and determined sword movements in front of the group, demonstrating his seriousness and exceptional ability. While his friends are still hesitant, he declares confidently, "We are the only ones who can protect this village." Chanos' eyes exude a tough aura, causing the group to fall silent and begin to accept the significant role that is about to be placed upon them. When Chanos poses the challenging question, "Are you scared?" a boy in the group immediately responds with enthusiasm and determination. He shouts loudly, strains himself, and swings his sword with great spirit, creating a series of serious, yet somewhat humorous fighting movements. Despite the sweat on his forehead, he smiles confidently, saying, "Who's scared?" showing courage mixed with a touch of naivety, while also boosting the group's morale in the face of the upcoming challenge. Chanos calls out to Enoch and Massey, instilling trust in them before taking action. Although the girl in the group is still worried and lacks confidence, the two boys, Enoch and Massey, react with determination, one wielding a stick bravely, the other drawing his bow professionally. When both shout in unison, "Let's go!" the spirit of camaraderie spreads strongly, signaling that the group of children is ready to face the challenge ahead with all their courage and unity. In a quiet pharmacy, a girl is intently writing notes behind the counter, displaying a serious and focused demeanor. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, signaling the arrival of someone. She looks up, recognizes the visitor as Ren, the mysterious boy from the village, and greets him softly. Ren's appearance brings a sense of calm, but also hints at unspoken matters. Ren enters the pharmacy and inquires about Chanos, the boy known as the young master. The girl behind the counter replies that he has gone out to play with Ted. When she asks about Ren's condition with concern, Ren reassures her that he's fine, while also recalling that Enoch and Massey had visited earlier. The brief but warm conversation reveals the close and caring relationships between the characters in the peaceful village setting. Ren leaves the pharmacy with a feeling of unease and immediately realizes that his concern has become a reality. The group of friends has secretly climbed over the wall into the forest. Knowing that the village gate is guarded, he deduces that they must have gone over the wall. He rushes off, worried about the safety of his reckless friends who are venturing into the mysterious forest. Ren runs along the village wall, hoping to catch up with the group before they leave the safe area. He blames himself for not taking action sooner, especially since he had sensed something unusual from Ted's absence. With a heart full of anxiety, Ren silently prays that they haven't left the village yet. Ren reaches the village wall and encounters Anne standing there. He gasps for breath, panicked, and calls out her name. When he sees that Anne isn't with the group, Ren immediately grabs her shoulders, anxiously asking about Chanos' whereabouts and the others. Ren's expression shows that he's fearing the worst. Ren urgently begs Anne to reveal the truth about what happened to Chanos' group. Although Anne denies it, her tense and worried face makes Ren believe that she's hiding something. He insists that if something bad has happened, Anne will also be in trouble, forcing her to face the truth she's been avoiding. Anne finally reveals the truth, pointing out to Ren where the group had climbed over the wall to leave the village. She indicates a lower section of the wall and the wooden crate they used to climb up. Seeing the height, Ren realizes that even children can overcome it if they try. His anxiety grows as he confirms that his intuition was correct. Ren thanks Anne for revealing the truth and then tells her to go inform the adults immediately. When Anne hesitates, worrying about him, Ren asserts that he'll chase after Charnos and the others. Determination is evident on his face as he rushes toward the wall to cross over, while Anne watches with anxiety. Anne offers to help Ren push the wooden crate to climb over the wall, but Ren immediately refuses, insisting that she go report to the adults. Surprised and moved by Ren's determination, Anne listens and runs off. Meanwhile, Ren faces the high wall alone, his eyes fixed resolutely ahead, preparing to enter the dangerous forest. Ren takes a deep breath, gains momentum, and begins his determined climb over the wall. He musters all his strength for the jump, launching himself up the high wall, demonstrating his resolve not to let his friends face danger. With a resolute gaze, he seems to be crossing beyond the boundaries of childhood to become a true protector. Ren bravely leaps over the village wall, his small figure soaring through the air amidst the vast forest landscape. He decides not to wait for the adults, but to venture out on his own, entering the mysterious forest to track down his friends, a moment that marks a significant step toward maturity under the vast sky. Ren lands after his daring jump over the wall, stumbling to the ground, but quickly getting up. While Anne watches with concern, Ren quickly disappears into the forest, glancing back to see if anyone has noticed his reckless action. Though young, Ren's determination to protect his friends drives him to take risks without hesitation. Ren worries about being discovered by the guards, but he quickly dismisses his doubts and focuses on the footprints still visible on the ground. He discovers the direction the group had taken and without hesitation rushes into the depths of the forest, determined to catch up with the troublemakers and protect them at all costs. Charnos' group was groping in the dense forest, trying to follow the trail but making no progress. One member complained about the difficulty in finding their target, causing the group to become somber. However, they didn't lose heart, and each person's eyes showed determination to continue the search. A terrified scream made Charnos' group turn around in shock. One member had tripped over a lifeless animal carcass, its body gruesomely torn apart. Silence fell over the group as they approached. The boy with messy hair looked down, confirming this was caused by a monster. The real danger had been revealed, and the atmosphere began to tense up. After discovering the carcass attacked by the monster, the group fell into a state of panic. A few members began to lose morale, suggesting they turn back. Although Charnos tried to appear strong and persuade the group not to be afraid, he couldn't hide his horror at witnessing the scene. Tension and fear spread, causing their initial courage to begin to waver. Drawn by a strange noise, Charnos and his friends stopped, anxiously searching their surroundings. The sound from the bushes grew louder, making them even more panicked. Charnos tried to remain calm, but couldn't avoid feeling a sense of unease as he realized something was off. Their worries began to rise, unsure of what lay ahead. Charnos suddenly collapsed from exhaustion, but his friends didn't abandon him. While fleeing, one of them quickly supported Charnos, struggling to carry him while continuing to run. The shout, "Heave-ho!" echoed as the friends worked together to combat the dire situation. Although anxiety surged, they didn't stop moving, running at full speed to escape the approaching threat. As the group continued to flee, they suddenly realized a dark figure was chasing them. Fear enveloped them when one of them screamed, alerting everyone that something is chasing us. The other members panicked, running faster, urging each other to speed up, but as they ran, bright eyes gleamed in the darkness, making everyone even more panicked and fearful. Ren sprinted deep into the vast forest, determined to find Charnos and his friends. He thought to himself that he had to increase his speed to avoid being left behind. With a resolute gaze, Ren boosted his energy, trying to run faster to overcome all challenges. Ren was determined to find Charnos and his friends as quickly as possible. He accelerated his run, no longer stopping, focusing all his mind and energy on overcoming every obstacle to find his friends in the deep forest. Ren was confident in his abilities. He sped up in the dense forest. While running, he quickly noticed the creatures around him, like a bird on a branch and a small bear, but didn't let these distractions slow him down. He was determined to use all his strength to find his friends. Ren continued to accelerate in the forest, his feet pounding the ground, creating a crack sound as the earth and rocks beneath his feet crumbled. However, while running at high speed, he suddenly encountered an obstacle, causing him to stumble and use his hands to steady himself against the ground. Ren stopped, his eyes fixed intently on a point in the distance within the forest. Before him, a small figure appeared, walking through the forest. It was a child wielding a stick. Ren couldn't tear his eyes away, his gaze filled with concern as he sensed something unusual was happening. Ren suddenly discovered Turner standing face to face with a pack of dangerous wolves. He quickly realized the critical situation and called out Turner's name, worried for his friend's safety. Turner, despite being in danger, remained calm, preparing to fight the fierce wolves advancing towards him.